That's why the Dunmer should be deported back to Morrowind. They don't really contribute anything to the society or the economy of Skyrim, and they've made Wilhelm a very unsafe place to be.
The Dunmer are 13% of Windhill's population and 52% of
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Wonderful start to the stream. Thank you. That is great. That is a wonderful start. Oh, my heavens.
Yeah.
Good
So,
one.
yeah. Okay. So basically, yeah, tonight we're going to talk about the Stormcloaks. And like I've said this before to anyone who's watching, that I'm not just going to talk about religion and politics, right? I will take a break from that and I'll discuss entertainment, video games too, because I live in this world and like sometimes I like to relax, forget about politics once in a while, right? And
Yep.
so does my buddy, Not a Spy. How are you doing, Not a Spy?
I'm doing pretty good. It's sweaty and hot in this southern state. I'm kind of exiled to Dixie half the time, but I am learning about a culture I was never exposed to, and
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
quite
like
like it. Learning.
basically, because both of us are located in Dixie, we both lost a lot of brownie points from the pro-Imperial players.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
Like basically, like they'll hear us say we live in Dixie right now, and they'll assume that we're just bad people, and that's why we support all freaking the
We are.
Stormcloaks.
We are, but that's like not a factor in the discussion.
Well, what's interesting is that like basically through for the last couple of years, I just noticed that um to determine a video game player's political views, like you just figure out by who they side with. Either they
Yeah.
side with the Imperials or they side with the Stormcloaks. And like to me originally, like when I sided with the Stormcloaks, like I was not far right. I was not anything like, alt right, nothing like that. When I first played Skyrim for the first time ever, I was a crazy libertarian, you know, so I was not even influenced by any like right-wing politics at all. Like I was like a hardcore libertarian, like and when I was playing for the Stormcloaks, it was more like I just followed the lore of the game. I would go on the internet, I would do some more reading. And originally, actually, before we go further, originally I did play as the Imperials because, Romans, cool, like I
You
like
know,
the
it's funny
Roman
you say
uniform,
that.
right?
That's exactly the same reason that I played the Imperials my first playthrough too. I was like, look, guys, it's Rome. Everybody loves Rome. Rome is cool. And these guys must be wrong because they're not Rome. Um, and then actually, I
Yeah.
played Oblivion, and I saw that the Empire was not entirely Rome, like Romanized, Roman style, its entire history. It was kind of a more like Holy Roman Empire, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah, like Charlemagne, like that era.
Yeah, I don't really have a solid
I would say
uh,
I would say probably more like the Oblivion era for sure because I guess lore wise they kind of go back and forth with that, like the original empire, the Elysian Empire, then the Riemann Empire, they were kind of Roman in a way too.
because I
And
couldn't I
yeah.
couldn't with the Oblivion Empire really
The Oblivion Empire, that was the Mede dynasty, and that was basically the end of the Mede dynasty. Sorry, I'm dumb. I'm a stupid person.
that was
And not the
Septim.
Mede dynasty,
It
Septim
was the
dynasty,
Septim
Septim
dynasty.
dynasty.
The Mede
So
dynasty
was
was Skyrim.
so basically the Septim dynasty, that was like the last of the Septim dynasty, like the
Yeah.
last heir died as a dragon, right?
All right.
And then the Mede dynasty basically, rose up as this warlord, and they reconquered everything again. And they basically, what's interesting is that they did not declare themselves the Fourth Empire. They simply like acted as if they're continuing the Third Empire, like the Septim Dynasty, basically.
Okay.
although they're the Me dynasty. But yeah, for some reason, like the Septim dynasty and the Me dynasty have this third empire shared for some reason. I don't know. I don't know
Now,
why.
kind of building off of the discussion about the Mede dynasty, trying, since that is relevant right now, are we talking, because I can't remember it for the life of me, if the Dark Brotherhood storyline is canon, the one where the Emperor is killed. Is that canon?
Actually, like nobody knows what's canon at the moment until Elder Scrolls 6 comes out.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. And that will
Do you,
be in
if
20
they ever make
that'll be in 2030, 2035, or
Okay. Because I
yeah.
feel like, I mean, most people played the Dark Brotherhood storyline. It was an interesting storyline. And even if it wasn't interesting, there was a woman with nice personality in it. So it got most of us to play it.
Yeah.
And one would think, with how everybody played that one, that would probably be considered canon just due to the popularity of it.
Mhm. Yeah, what's interesting, playing as the Dark Brotherhood is a lot more fun than playing against the Dark Brotherhood. Like playing against the
Yeah.
Dark Brotherhood, they made it like really short and boring. It's just a very short playthrough.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know you could play against it because I had like, and
Hmm.
good lord, in high school when this came out, I had I don't even know how many
Hmm.
hours I had because that was on a 360, and then I still played a lot on
Yeah.
PC, but I
Yeah.
didn't know you could actually go against the Dark Brotherhood till like 3 years ago.
Oh wow. That's yeah.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Wow. Well, what's interesting is that like by the way, to prove that like I had no political motivations to play for the Stormcloaks, for example, um basically when I played as the Imperials, I kind of played for a little bit. I fought for to preserve Fort Hochstadt. I got the Jagged Crown, and then like I stopped playing for a couple months. Then I started playing again, and something about the Imperials rubbed me the wrong way. I forgot what it was, so I joined the Stormcloaks
Was
instead. I'm
it
like, yeah,
that big
joined the
legate,
Stormcloaks.
the bitch legate who's always
Yeah,
on your ass? I bet
probably
it was.
that's probably what it was. The first time was kind of more like, ooh, I'm in awe of this Roman uniform, but then the second time I'm like, I don't like this person. And then so, anyways, but so with the Dark Brotherhood quest, right? So to prove that like I originally did not have any political motivations at all to join the Stormcloaks. Like when I say political motivations, I mean my real world politics had nothing to do with
Hmm.
joining the Stormcloaks. It was simply because, for example, when the Dark Brotherhood, they sent me that letter saying, "We know," with the hand, "We know." I was thinking, these guys are bad guys. These are the Dark Brotherhood. And see, in my libertarian mind at the time, when I was a libertarian, I was thinking, yeah, assassins. Oh, these are very bad people. They're violating the non-aggression principle. Right. Well, I mean, yeah, like I was thinking, okay, these are really bad guys. And by this point, like I conquered, I basically gave independence for Skyrim, and I'm doing all these side quests. And I was thinking, oh, Dark Brotherhood, I didn't do these guys yet. Okay, I'll try this. And then like they sent me this letter saying we know, and then they kidnapped me. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm gonna kill all of you guys. Right. Yeah, and then that's when my first Dark Brotherhood playthrough was when I fought against them, right? And then like eventually, like I decided, you know what, I'll do like a brand new playthrough of the game, and I'll do things differently. And I decided to play as Dark Brotherhood, and it was a lot more fun. And because you also get to kill the Emperor.
Yeah, there's like way more. There, when you go against, it's literally like a 5 minute quest, and then when you go with the Dark Brotherhood, it's like, wait, dude, this is multiple hours of gameplay. How did I not do this? I was the opposite because when I first played Skyrim, I think I got it in 2012, so I
Mhm.
was, oh God,
Well, it came out like November 2011. So
it
like
came out
yeah,
2011. Yeah, I think I
yeah.
got it in 2012, and I was like 15 years old. I didn't even know what
Oh
politics.
wow. I was like, whew. I was like 22 when
Oh, dude,
like when I first
I
played
didn't
it. Yeah.
even I didn't even know that RPG games existed. All I played was like N64 games. And then I went to see a
Yeah.
buddy who was like, dude, I got Skyrim. And I thought it was called Scrim then, like, because I was an illiterate
Yeah.
cur. And he was like, dude, I'm going to go play Skyrim. And I was watching it. I was like, wait a second. You mean to tell me you can just walk around? And he was like, yeah, I could walk around and do whatever. I was like, show me. And he did. I was like, no shit. This is the coolest thing I've
You
ever
could do
seen.
whatever you want.
Yeah, because I was so used to like N64 games, a couple PS2 games, and
Yeah.
then
Well,
like
basically,
early
like most
three.
video games are basically like they have like a set storyline that you have to
Yeah.
follow. Like you cannot choose your own destiny.
Yeah, like I played a lot
Yeah.
of Call of Duty games. I was kind of a Call of Duty addict back when Modern Warfare 2 was popular. That was 2012, I think that came
Hmm.
out. 2011, 2012. So I played a lot of that, and then I saw this game and I was like, wait a fucking second. You mean to tell me you could just walk in whatever direction you want and nobody's telling you to do? He was like, dude, totally. And then like a dragon showed up, but I was like, I need to get this.
Yeah.
So I gathered up all of my money. I was like, Ma, wait, I gotta get
I
this.
gotta
This
buy
is the
this game.
coolest. Yeah, I was like, this
Yeah.
is the coolest shit ever. So I threw together like $45 or something. I got a used copy. But yeah, my first playthrough was with the Imperials.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, every young guy thinks Rome is cool.
Oh
Every
yeah.
young guy
Yeah.
thinks Rome is cool,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, like the first time, you think, oh wow, look at this uniform. And like what's interesting, so before we start getting on the subject of the Stormcloaks, I would like to also add that I saw that uniform and I was thinking like this is cool. And what's interesting is that like when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was for some kind of nerds and some losers, right? And
Yeah.
my roommates at the time, they literally were playing the game and I'm just doing my college work on my laptop. And this was in the kitchen and they're in the living room and I'm just hearing what's going on in the background. And
Hmm.
for me, being a crazy history buff and being, interested in politics, I hear the words Civil War. I'm like, Civil War, you say? I'm like, ooh, I'm interested in, studying civil wars in different countries, right? Like, Spanish Civil War, Russian Civil War, like the American Civil War, right? Like I'm thinking, wow, this is interesting. And I'm thinking, and I see that I'm like, wait a minute, these are Romans and they're fighting rebels. Oh yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and that was then my roommates like said, "Hey, here we'll create a new profile for you. Here, give it a try." And boom, know, like
Yeah.
yeah. Then eventually I bought my own game.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah,
a fun game. It's a
yeah,
great game. And it's funny, I was talking with some guys because I'm in a couple GCs and all that stuff. So I talk with quite a few people about a few things. And like Skyrim pops up once a week. And it's a common statement like Skyrim, Modern Warfare 2, and games from that era, like the 2010 to 2014, like there weren't games like that after, and there's not going to be games like that after.
well,
Um,
Fallout 4, I guess.
Fallout, I've heard
Yeah.
very mixed reviews about Fallout 4. I've never played it,
Well, I'll say
but
this: Fallout 4 is better than Fallout 76. So yeah,
I believe that.
yeah.
But
But
like
Fallout New Vegas is the best Fallout.
other than like Metro Exodus, there's never really been a game that
Yeah.
competed with games from
Well,
that mold.
even the Metro series, what I don't like about it, again, like you don't really like do any like free, like it's not really, I guess, I don't know, it's not an RPG,
It's an RPG,
it
yeah.
is. But I mean,
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I mean, like with a Metro, you still have to kind of follow, each level, perfectly. You got to follow the quest line,
Kind
right?
of.
Like,
Yes and no.
yeah,
So Metro Exodus was a lot more open world because I know that was one of the
really, because
complaints.
for some reason, like, I don't remember it being open world.
Have you ever played Exodus? It's the third
Oh
one.
no, I played the first one. Okay, I played the
Okay,
first
okay.
one. Okay, yeah,
So Metro 2032, I think that's,
the second one.
or it's just called Metro.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the audiobook is online on YouTube for free. It is amazing. I recommend you listen to it.
Guys, take advantage of this opportunity before YouTube deletes it.
Oh, it's open source. The guy
Oh, it's open
who
source?
made
Okay.
yeah, the guy who made Metro, he put the book out open source, and like he doesn't want to make a dime off of it. He actually talked ill on the guy who wrote the Witcher series because the guy who wrote the Witcher series sold it to CD Projekt Red because it wasn't making him any money. CD Projekt Red made it the Witcher we know now. And then he was like, "Whoa, I'm entitled to some of this money." Typical Polish moment. I'm entitled to some of this money, and they sued him back. But the guy who wrote Metro, who just wrote it for fun, to write like a series that he wanted to write, talking about topics and concepts he wanted to talk about. He was like, "Shut up, you stupid old man! Like you sold it."
Yeah.
So the guy who made the Metro series made the books public. So they're open source. You don't need to buy them. I would say get them on print because I like print, but it's free on YouTube. Wonderfully
Hmm.
written. I digress. 20 or to the original Metro and then Last Light, they take place underground. But Exodus is when you actually get out of Moscow
So,
with the Spartan.
but it's open world though, right?
Yeah, it's open world.
Oh, interesting. Because
Get out of
yeah.
Moscow with the Spartan Rangers, and it's not like Stalker, the Stalker series, where you have this like art because Stalker is kind of like Fallout, but kind of not. It's a little lacking on the
Hmm.
RPG elements. Metro's less on the RPG elements. It's still very story driven though, and you have the whole background moral system. But Exodus was very, 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 very good. And I can happily admit this. I actually cried a little bit at the end.
Oh, wow.
It was because you only played the first one, so you don't meet a bunch of the Spartan Rangers in the second one. You know Miller. You know Miller. You meet him
Okay.
at the end of the first one,
Yeah.
but in Last Light, you meet a lot more of the characters, and you kind of get attached to them. And you can tell it's very cursory. Everyone's an archetype of something, including Artyom. And then in Exodus, it's so I'm not going to spoil what happens in between the two because I really recommend you play it.
Yeah.
But the characters are, it's a very normal human situation in a sense. And the sacrifice that takes place, although the situation is abnormal because it's, post-apocalyptic Soviet Union or Russian Federation, my bad.
Yeah.
Because the situation is abnormal because of that, the basis of it being a very normal human sacrifice for the people you love,
Hmm.
but kind of passing the torch out with characters who I knew and I was connected to because of, you know, two games before. I was a little like, damn, go that shit hit me, man. It was
Yeah.
very, very good. And I'm not gonna say Metro Exodus was like Skyrim because Skyrim is a game unto
Hmm.
its own. But as a capstone to the Metro series, Exodus was beautiful.
Yeah. So basically, Metro Exodus is basically like Skyrim, but in post-apocalyptic Moscow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're better off playing the Stalker series though if you
Yeah.
want a kind of Skyrim-esque game.
Okay, so now I have a question for you. So when
Mhm.
you first joined the Stormcloaks, did you have any political motivations? Like, why you like? Did your politics inspire you to join the Stormcloaks,
Um,
or did you just play the game and realize logically the Stormcloaks make sense, right?
so the first time I played the Stormcloaks, actually, uh, rewind it back. Young Not a Spy was actually a Leninist
Okay. Yeah.
because I think I was like 16, 17 at that point. And
Yeah.
everybody in high school was a Leninist because
Yeah.
America is, it's not
So
secret. America,
so basically, like there was no like right wing
no, there
brainwashing,
was
at all,
none.
right? Like you were
Yeah,
not like brainwashed by some, because I guess by that time, there still wasn't really any, alt, rights or anything like that, right?
No,
Yeah,
no, there was no like
yeah.
solid. There was no unitary right wing other than like paleocons who
Yeah, so
are
so
trash.
basically, like there was no crazy right wingers brainwashing
Yeah,
you, and then you decide to play Skyrim, and you chose Ulfric because of your right wing
no,
propaganda. No, it was
no.
not like that.
I was a red Leninist back then because I was a child and I had no experience with
Yeah,
life. That being said, I always did have like the mental immune system, if one will, right?
yeah.
Where when I did the first time, I think I did two playthroughs. I did at least two playthroughs, maybe three.
Well, the
As
first
in,
one was Imperial.
yeah, the first one was Imperial. I think the next two were as well. And then
Yeah,
I was like, I always do Imperial because, truth be told, I liked Jarl Balgruuf the Cuck because I thought he was a nice dude then, and now I know he's a cuck. And then I was like, oh,
hmm
I'm gonna play the Stormcloaks because I never played the Stormcloaks, and I did. And Ulfric was like, "Look, we need to protect our homeland from the Imperials and the Thalmor." And I was like, "Yeah, this guy kind of onto something." So even when I was
yeah.
a red, I was like,
So
"Ulfric,
yes,
not that bad."
so basically, you were I guess it's safe to say you were a communist teenager in high school,
Yeah, I was a
and
communist
and
teenager.
so just playing the game, you kind of put two and two together, and that's what made you join the Stormcloaks, not because of some weird, right wing propaganda, right?
No, yeah, no, yeah, that's the most Midwest thing you could say.
Of
No,
course.
yeah,
Hmm.
it was because like, and I guess and a lot of people will understand me when I explain this. You kind of have this. Everyone has a sort of natural chauvinism isn't the right word, but everyone with their brain working right, no matter their political views, has a sort of um natural nationalism in their brain. Like it
Hmm.
doesn't matter your political views. You could be a Marxist, capitalist, anarchist, whatever.
What's interesting is that like a lot of lefties don't realize that's inherently inside of them. They don't know about it.
Yeah. And it's so funny. My sister used to be like that. She used to be super liberal. But she would say some of the most heinous shit. Oh my God. She would say stuff that I would be like, what did you just say? You know? Most I would warrant to say 95%. So practically all liberals harness some kind of like very primitive nationalism in them, which is inherent to all people. I think we can reasonably say that. So that was really the reason why I first played the Stormcloaks out of curiosity. And then I was like, Ulfric actually on something. You can tell my SoCal dialect's coming out.
Yeah.
I was like, Ulfric actually kind of on something, man.
Hmm.
Like, what's he going on about? I quite
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah. So I guess we already just debunked like the one of the first myths is that only the crazy right wing people play Ulfric. Yes, it's true today. Like in 2023, yeah, like you're probably leaning to the right if you're playing as Ulfric. Or if you're playing for the Stormcloaks, you're probably you probably have right wing political views today in
Probably kind of
2023.
the
But back in 2011, 2012, most people they did not really have such ideas. Like
Mhm.
people were kind of I guess back then like mainstream republicanism was still kind of, popular
Yeah.
and Democrats, right?
I
And then
mean,
and then
when
and then of course the far left you had the commie Antifa types, but then you had kind of like the libertarians on the other end who were kind of mix of some were
when
lefty libertarians, some were righty
when did
libertarians.
Trump pop up? That was like 2015, right?
Yeah, yeah, 2015, but before that still like no one like if in 2014 you said Trump run for president, no one would have believed you, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that. People were like, "Oh, Donald Trump's talking about politics." Next thing you know, he's gonna run for president,
Hmm.
and everyone was like, "Ha ha ha!" Right? And then that
Yeah.
one day, it was like, "Oh, eh, I'm going to run for president," and it's like it was like a
Yeah,
graveyard.
yeah. Then immediately everything starts popping off, right? Yeah, Oh, but what's interesting is that some people, people who play as the Imperials, they compare Trump to Ulfric. I'm thinking, don't you dare compare Trump to Ulfric, because let me tell you something. Ulfric could be a fictional character, but he's way better than Donald Trump. Just
Way more based.
is way more
Way
based than Donald
more,
Trump.
way more based. Donald Trump and like
Like, if anything else,
and
Donald Trump would be like Jarl Balgruuf.
yes, that is exactly what Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is Jarl Balgruuf the cuck, right? He's he's well intentioned. Balgruuf was
Mhm.
very well intentioned, and that was able to kind of sway me onto the
So yeah, Balgruuf is Trump basically, because
absolutely.
when you think about it, like Balgruuf is also very prideful, and he's a womanizer. Because
Was he?
there's this theory, well, because his third child is a bastard, and this theory is that Balgruuf likes to go to the bar, which he does, by the way, when you play the
I
game.
remember
Yes,
this.
Bulgakov goes to the bar, and of course, he might, pick up some lucky lady.
Dude, I
Yeah,
forgot that Yara
yeah,
Balgruuf was
yeah.
an infidel and not
Yes.
like, oh man,
Yeah,
there's so much, there's like so much lore in Skyrim that you forget so much of it till someone mentions it and you're like, yeah,
yeah.
dude.
He goes to the bar, and he probably got it on with some chick, and then he had his third child out of wedlock, and I think
He's on him.
his wife died too. Like this did not happen when his wife was dead. This happened while she was still alive, and then she died later. Yeah,
So, well, it's unsavory while she was still alive. Is that still considered cheating after she died?
yeah, because she was alive at the time.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess yeah, it kind of carries over.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
You're
So yeah,
dude. I
yeah.
forgot.
If she died, and the next day he did it, then it doesn't count. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
but anyways, so like he's very prideful, like Trump, because you have to rub his ego, right? You have to kind of be nice to him. And here's the thing, Trump, like he's not as right wing as people think he is. He's always trying to
Oh, heck.
pander. He's always trying to pander to the left wing, and
Mhm.
so the pro-Imperials.
Have,
Excuse me, one second. I gotta
have you
take care
known
of
I've been
something.
the most jobs for Red Guard and Dunmer of any president?
Yeah, here's the thing. So on Balgruuf, so what he does, like oh, by the way, originally Whiterun is technically an independent kingdom. When you first play the game,
Yes.
Whiterun is neither Stormcloak or Imperial. Whiterun is its own kingdom at the moment,
It's the
theoretically.
middle ground.
And so that's why both sides are trying to convince Balgruuf to join them. And
Mm,
what's interesting is that you remember Donald Trump talking about the one incident in Virginia where he says, "Oh, there are good guys and bad guys on both sides." You remember that part, right?
yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah. I remember
yeah.
that.
So Balgruuf, he basically does not want to like force his people to stop worshiping Talos, but at the same time, he doesn't want the, pro Stormcloak people to kind of be like, yeah, you're not doing enough. So he's like, fine, we'll secede, but we're not. So we're not Empire, we're not Stormcloak, we're kind of our own thing right here, right?
What a
So,
milk toast
so, so
weenie.
he wants both sides to like him. And then here's the thing. Like, I kind of wish that the game developers kind of, gave him more of an option to switch to the Stormcloaks, but unfortunately, they don't have that. But anyways, um, so when the Imperials try to convince Bulgakov, he goes, "Oh no, no, you're not doing enough for me, for my people, right?" And then, but then let's say you play as the Stormcloaks, right? Your mission to start the Civil War as a Stormcloak is to go to Bulgakov, give him an axe, and the axe is basically a challenge, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he has two choices, either to like fight Balgrove or to just join his cause, right?
But
And
not
Balgrove is
Balgriff.
and Balgrove basically he
Balgriff
gets
to fight
offended.
Ulfric. Yeah.
Yeah, Balgrove gets offended by the fact that Ulfric is already kind of threatening him, right? But see, but Ulfric is going by tradition, by the way. If you like listen to Ulfric, he's doing things traditionally the Skyrim way. Therefore, the axe was not necessarily like a threat. It was kind of more like, dude, like I'm trying to send you a message here, right? And
I mean, guys, men as as a species, we have a kind of like a call out, right?
yeah,
If someone's acting out of line, you have a call out.
hmm
And if someone, we all know exactly what I mean when I say this. There's the type of personality of dude who's very insecure, where if you give him the call out, he's like, oh, oh. It's like, well, you were acting out of line. You had to
yeah.
like get back in line. That, my
Well,
friend, is
just
Jarl
just like
Balgruuf.
Donald Trump, he gets offended that you're not rubbing his ego, you're not petting him on the head, like oh, you're such a good boy, right? No,
Yep.
he's like, oh, you sent me an axe. Well, I will respond by allowing the Imperials to enter Whiterun.
What a Jarl Balgruuf.
Yeah, and
I picked up that adage of Jarl Balgruuf the cuck from the Golden One, who seems to never misses on his points.
oh, is that
Ever
where?
since,
Oh, so you
yeah,
did not make that up. It was actually like
no,
talked about
no,
before.
I picked that one up from the Golden One, and
Yeah,
I thought about it. He was doing a Skyrim playthrough, and I was like, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, he's right. Jarl Balgruuf is a cuck because he literally could have just joined the Stormcloaks.
And if you side with the Imperials and you defend Whiterun, Heimskir, the based Talos preacher, gets imprisoned. He
Really?
gets imprisoned. Yes.
I don't remember that.
He gets put in the Imperial prison.
Does he?
Underneath Whiterun, there's a prison, right?
Okay.
Uh, Underneath all holds, there's like a dungeon, and
Yeah.
Heimskir gets fucking imprisoned if you side with the Imperials
Really,
and you win the
I
Battle
don't
of.
I don't remember that part, to be
Yeah,
fair.
he
Just
straight up
yeah.
gets imprisoned for preaching
Oh.
about Talos worship.
Oh, wow.
And I think I don't quote me on this, but you can bring it up with Jarl Balgruuf, like because he tries to like be a centrist and be like, I support the freedom of speech, but not freedom of preach. And you can bring it up,
Oh,
and
wow.
he's like, well, yeah, that's because Heimskir is a troublemaker.
Well,
Like,
to be fair, I played as the Imperials one time, and already I had like the sense of guilt and confusion. I was
mhm.
like, something feels off, you know? Like
What
on the one hand, it was also boring. Playing as the Imperials is also very boring because you
it
don't have this
is.
awe because by default, oh, you're the Empire, so it's kind of assumed, it's presumed that you're going to win anyway because you are the mighty, powerful Empire, and these are just some
One would
rebels, right? And therefore, just kind of defeating the Stormcloaks, it just kind of feels shallow, it's so empty. You don't feel like, I mean, at the end, like
uh,
when you're done with the playthrough, you feel this guilt. You're like, oh, this does not feel right.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's more
You know,
like it's kind of like so Ulfric's death is kind of like epic in a way, but epic in a sad way. Yeah.
yeah, I remember because I played this game in high school and like everybody played Skyrim because it was so fucking good. I remember, and I will be willing to bet money that there's actually no difference between the difficulties of playing the Stormcloak or the Imperial time like quest
Okay.
line.
Yeah,
But if
because well, like once you pick a side, your side wins either way.
yeah, it wins either way. And like Bethesda, as much as they were good game developers, they've been firing a lot of blanks lately, but they wouldn't make one like noticeably more difficult than the other. It's far more like which quest line do you choose, you know? Do you go left or do you go right?
Mhm.
It was widely accepted that the Stormcloaks were a more difficult quest line than the Imperials. With every single kid I knew growing up when I was playing it in high school. And that the Imperials were kind of losers, and it was just very shallow and boring. And the stupid Leggett hoe was not interesting. She's kind of a rude bitch. Not in like the hot
Yeah.
way.
Oh, but by the way, she violates. By the way, she should be arrested and imprisoned by Imperial law. By the way, because by Imperial law, not by Stormcloak law, but by Imperial law, because at the end of the game when you're playing as the Imperials, and regardless of who executes Ulfric, but Ulfric dies, right? The moment he
Yep,
dies, Legate Rika, she says,
that's her
Tal
name.
Talos guide you. Like she whispers it, Talos guide you.
This bitch.
And so
This bitch.
here's the thing. General Tullius, he goes, "What did you say?" Right? And she goes, "Oh, nothing, sir." And Tullius is like, "Good." And I have a feeling that like
Rika is a Nord, isn't she?
she is a Nord, right? And
Ugh.
by the way, many Imperial soldiers are Nords, and they also had
Chop,
to. Well,
chop,
to be fair, like they had
chop.
to rely on the local, they had to rely on the local auxiliary
Auxiliary.
units, and like some of them were imported from Cyrodiil, but like most of them were basically Nords.
There's a lot of red guards too, I've noticed. Like this
Yeah.
was something I noticed even when I was in high school. I was like, wow, there's a lot of red guards in the Imperial Legion. What's that
Although
about?
it kind of makes it doesn't make too much sense because here's the thing. Because most Red Guards, they quit the Empire when the Empire turned their backs on them, and when they gave up Hammerfell to the Thalmor.
Hmm.
And then, of course, Hammerfell won their independence, by the way. So whenever someone says that it's impossible for the Stormcloaks to defeat the Thalmor, like Hammerfell literally destroyed the Thalmor. Like
Yeah,
Hammerfell is
and
independent.
Hammerfell is an awful desert. But okay,
Yeah.
actually, that kind
Well,
of speaks
Skyrim is
favor.
like an awful cold tundra. So
Good. Yeah,
yeah,
it's mountainous around the entire place is
yeah.
surrounded by mountains. And if you've never actually been like in like, I don't mean like driving through mountains. I mean, if you have tried to pass mountains on foot, that is one of the worst experiences you can ever have in your life.
Dude, I've been doing this for like like last couple months. I've been going hiking, through mountains, right? And I would imagine imagine being a like an Imperial soldier, imagine being a Stormcloak or whatever, right? And imagine like trying to not go down the main road. Well,
Mm.
even if you fall down the main road, it
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
matter. It's still very difficult. But let's say you go into the woods, you try to do some kind of shortcut, or not a shortcut, but you're trying to be hidden. You want your army to go through enemy territory unnoticed. So you go through
Yeah.
the woods, right? And so imagine this. So like here's the thing. I'm not really carrying much with me, just a very light backpack with some water, right? And I'm already like getting out of breath just going up. So
Oh, yeah.
imagine like you're walking with, let's say, you're in charge of a unit that's, I don't know, 80 men and women, and you're carrying swords and shields, right? Like, and here's the
Good
thing.
Lord.
Here's the thing. If you're Imperials, you're most likely not carrying your armor. You're not wearing your armor at the moment. It's probably being, like, I don't know, like carried by some, like, I don't know, like, what do you call it? Not a carriage, but, like
Yeah,
there's a,
well, if they're based
not
off
not a
of the
chest. I guess like a chest or multiple chests, because,
no,
yeah,
if they're based off the Roman legion, what a lot of Romans would
yeah.
do, there's this whole myth that the Romans would march 30 miles a day within their armor. They would not. They would march, and it kind of looks like a cross. You know,
Hmm.
it's a pole up, it's a T, and you'd have the helmet, the armor, and then supplies kind of running down, and you'd
Okay.
carry it on your shoulder, switching left, right.
Hmm.
That would be a lot of it. And then, of course, there would be a backpack and whatever supplies. They would march with that.
Okay.
That would be the kind of
So
30
the
miles.
Imperials or the Stormcloaks will probably have something similar to that if they're going
Yeah.
through the mountains. Like if they're
The
trying to
Imperials,
yeah,
definitely. If we can
yeah.
assume that they're going off of like the whole Roman thing, which they are, they would march in a very similar way. Whereas the Stormcloaks practically only having light armor, they have that like blue with
Well,
chainmail.
I downloaded a mod where all the storm. So basically, the mod also differentiates the Stormcloaks from the Windhelm Guards, and so
Mm,
like that's what I like about the mod. And so when they show actual Stormcloaks, they're wearing like heavy armor, like
okay.
heavier than the Imperial soldiers, by the way. because like the regular Imperial soldier, like he's wearing very light armor, right? And only the officers might wear something heavy, right?
Yeah.
But the Stormcloaks in my mod, like they're actually wearing like heavy armor like everywhere, and their helmets are like
And
these bears, like these bear helmets. They're like metal. Yeah.
yeah, huh.
But anyways, yeah, like
Oh, kind of
if
like
we go
North.
by the game, they're not. If we go by like the actual vanilla version of the game, they're just wearing like the blue what do you call
Yeah,
it?
it's like a
Tunic.
light armor. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tunic with padded. Actually, I don't think there is any chainmail. I think it's just padded.
I think there might be some chainmail underneath the. No, I don't
I
know.
think the because it's the same outfit as the
Well,
guards.
because when you look at their,
Um,
oops, my microphone. But when you look at their arms right here, like I believe
mhm.
you see some chainmail
You're
sticking
right.
out.
You're right. There is
So
some chainmail. Yes, actually, come to think of it, yes. I do know that there's some guards outfits that omit the chainmail, but the Stormcloaks do have the chainmail. Actually, that you mentioned it, yes.
yeah, so like who knows? But either way, yeah, Stormcloaks are probably dressed more lightly, but still like even then, carrying a sword and a shield through the mountains, with a group of people walking at different paces. By the way, not everyone has the same pace.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, imagine you're trying to cross through the mountains to sneak inside enemy territory, right? Like Skyrim is not easy to conquer. Like that's like one thing. So if Hammerfell could actually defeat the Dalmor being a desert, or like I don't know, 90% desert, so why couldn't Skyrim defend itself from the Dalmor as well?
Inshallah, Hammerfell defeats the Thalmor. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like we were just talking about, like Skyrim is surrounded by mountains, and whether they made it like that in the game for
Yeah.
engine
An actual
limitations,
Skyrim proper has mountains inside of it and hills going up and down
yeah,
constantly.
like Skyrim is a bowl of mountains with mountains throughout, and if like mountains are notorious for being very, very, very
Yeah.
hard to crack, and the Thalmor being I was going to use a word, squishy. Let's use that word
Okay.
instead. Squishy.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
meanies. Um, they wouldn't get through. They wouldn't get through a mid-strength Skyrim.
Well, here's the thing. First, the Thalmor would eventually, like, let's just say hypothetically, Skyrim wins the Civil War,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the Imperials, they would have to just focus more of their forces on the south, right? And
Yep.
let's just assume that Thalmor are idiots, because, by the way, a lot of the pro-Imperials, uh, like they think they're being smart when they say, "Oh, the Dalmor, they want the Stormcloaks to win." No, they don't. Like they don't want either side to win immediately. They don't want a swift victory. So, anyways,
Yeah.
so the Dalmor. Here's the thing. Let's just say they do something idiotic. Let's say they find out that the Stormcloaks have a swift victory. They immediately gain independence, and so the Empire has two choices. They could just continue sending forces through those mountains, but here's the thing: by that point, it'll be very, very difficult because historically, in the lore, when you just read the lore on the internet, Skyrim was never conquered by the Empire. Never, never was conquered. It joined
Yeah.
voluntarily.
I probably read that sometime, but
And so here's the thing. So if the Empire would try to recapture Skyrim, their best bet will be trying to send messengers through High Rock, but by the time they get those letters, and High Rock themselves might want to secede at that point as well, they'll probably
mhm.
be fighting the Empire. So the Cyrodiilians at this point, or the Imperials, they would probably just say, screw it, right? Just, guard the
I mean,
border in the north, and that's it. But let's not go further than this because those mountains will be under the control of the Stormcloaks. And so here's the thing. And let's just say that Dalmor do something stupid. They say, "Oh, dang it! The Stormcloaks won, right? So let's attack Cyrodiil again." So they attack Cyrodiil again. Let's assume they're successful and they recapture the Imperial city. They recapture all of Cyrodiil, and then the Dalmor are planning to go into Skyrim. they're going to face the same exact problems that that the Imperials would have had to face retaking
Yeah,
Skyrim.
I
And
tell
on
you what.
top, what's up?
Let's look at this from a geopolitical standpoint because it's kind of our thing. Let's look at it from a geopolitical standpoint. If Skyrim kicks the Imperials out, you have an independent Cyrodiil. It's not really the Empire anymore. You have an
Well, it's
independent Cyrodiil.
technically, I guess High Rock still will be under their control.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, but I'll just call them Cyrodiil. High Rock doesn't really mean much because
Okay.
magic is trash in Skyrim. You have an independent Cyrodiil, you have an independent Skyrim, and you have an independent Hammerfell. Let's look at it realistically, right? If the Thalmor decided to invade any one of the three, four counting High Rock, do you think that the other two wouldn't send some kind of help on a sort of if one falls, we all fall kind of premise? I mean, anyone with a basic understanding of geopolitics, which our boy Ulfric Stormcloak would have a good understanding of because he's a skilled leader, he would absolutely he would send help to Cyrodiil or Hammerfell because he's just
Hmm.
that type of thing. And Hammerfell would most likely send help to Skyrim or Cyrodiil. So you'd have a kind of like league of independent nations against the Thalmor.
Well, if we go further back into the lore, right? So the Akaviri from the continents of Akavir, they have different races of their own, right?
Yeah.
But the Kamal, they're like a different race that lives in Akavir, and the Kamal demons, they attacked Skyrim. No, sorry, Morrowind. And guess who showed up to help? The Nords showed up, and their Argonians showed up. And
Hmm.
the Nords and Dunmer and Argonians, they don't really like each other, but they showed up together, fought side by side against the Kamal. And it's called the Ebonheart Pact. And there's also
I've heard that name.
Maluka. She sings a very beautiful song about the Ebonheart Pact. It's very beautiful. Look it up on YouTube. Like, I'll post the link to the song in the description below because you guys have to listen to the song. It's very beautiful. But
I will
anyways,
say the tavern music of Skyrim has only been beaten by the tavern music of Dragon Age Inquisition. That was the only nice thing of Dragon Age
oh,
Inquisition.
well,
Very,
I never played Dragon Age Inquisition, so I don't know.
you're not losing out on
Okay.
anything.
Well, I had a feeling that like it's not really worth playing. But anyways, yes, going back to your point, yeah, you're correct. It makes sense, for Hammerfell and Skyrim to unite with Cyrodiil against the Thalmor if they have to.
No, it's not a super alien idea, and you can see similar things in modern, pre-modern, medieval history.
Yeah, if you
It's
noticed
pretty
how like the pro-Imperials are always constantly worried that the Thalmor like are worried about the Thalmor are planning to retake Cyrodiil and eventually conquer Skyrim. I'm thinking, how come the Thalmor are not concentrating any of their forces in Hammerfell because they know they got their butts kicked, right?
Yep. The
Yeah,
Thalmor are going to take over Cyrodiil. I'm going to use my Emperor's voice to calm them
yeah.
down. And by the way, I have my Imperial bartering skill, which gets me 5% better prices on things. I digress.
Okay, that was good. That was good.
That's a
Yeah,
perk they have. That's an active effect they have.
yeah, yeah. So you're correct. And on top of that, like I would not be surprised if Ulfric decides to conquer Cyrodiil and just kind of recreate the empire, but like maybe
I
create.
wouldn't blame him. I
Yeah.
wouldn't blame him just based on the sole fact that the Imperials have been treating Skyrim like trash, trying to ban Talos worship.
Hmm. Well, it goes beyond
But
that. Oh,
it,
because here's the thing: when you play Skyrim, right? So you have this east and west divide, and of course you have the center Whiterun, right?
mhm.
So it doesn't matter whether or not you join a side or not, or you do, but just walk around like the map, right? And here's the thing: on the Stormcloak side, which is like the eastern side of Skyrim, right? You don't see any Thalmor military bases anywhere. You don't.
No, no.
You go to Northwatch Keep. What is that? What is that? Oh, that's a secret military base, which the Imperials are aware of its existence, of course. They
Well, you don't even
allowed
need
its
to look at the
existence.
secret one. Let's not forget the Thalmor Embassy by Solitude. I
Well,
mean,
and here's
good
and here's the thing.
grief,
And here's the thing. Why is the embassy even there? Shouldn't the embassy
right?
be in the Imperial City in Cyrodiil?
Yeah,
Why is it way
because
up there?
if Skyrim is controlled by the Imperials, which they say it is, there would be no need to have a Thalmor embassy there. Mind you, a Thalmor embassy with a torture dungeon and filled with dozens of Thalmor soldiers and Justice.
Well,
No.
and here's the thing, and these people, here's the thing, they have the right to arrest any Imperial citizen. So not just in Skyrim, but anywhere, even in High Rock and Cyrodiil. If you're caught worshiping Talos and a downward justiciar walks by, well, sir, ma'am, you are under arrest for worshiping
Yeah,
Talos.
to go to the dungeon to be eaten by a troll because,
Or yeah, tortured, whatever, right? And
tortured, eaten by a troll,
and
whatever.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. In the Whiterun, you see that conversation with the Battleborns and what's the
Gray
other
mains.
family? Greymanes. The Greymane old woman. She's saying, "I know you guys know where my son is because her son fought for the Stormcloaks, and apparently he was imprisoned. But like so she knows he's alive, and the Battleborns are telling her, no, your son's dead, and why you keep blaming us, blah blah blah, right? And if you sneak into the Battleborn house, the Battleborns are actually in contact with General
Mm-hmm.
Tullius, and he kind of says, "Hey guys, don't bring up that question again about this Greymane guy, right?" And then here's the thing: you do that quest to save the woman's son, and
Mm-hmm.
his brother could assist you or not assist you. It depends on how you decide to play it through to play the
He
game.
is at that keep though. He is at
Yeah,
Northwatch.
yes, he's being tortured, and here is the thing. Here's the thing: why is a Stormcloak soldier being questioned by a third party not involved in the war? So, for example,
Because it
hypothetical
is
hypothetical scenario. Yeah.
almost like the Thalmor do not like the Stormcloaks.
Yes. And by the way,
Oh,
before some dumb pro-Imperial brings up the dumb dossier argument, we'll get there. We'll get to that argument. But first, like you said, it seems like the Thalmor don't really like the Stormcloaks at all, right? And
mm-mm.
so here's the thing. Here's the question. Why is a prisoner of war being tortured in a foreign military base? Because here's the thing. Despite
A foreign military base of an uninvolved power.
And here's the thing. That Greymane guy, despite the fact that he himself does not consider himself a citizen of the Empire anymore, legally speaking, he is still under Imperial jurisdiction. He's still a citizen under or a subject under their laws, right? And on top of that, so actually, he's a citizen of Skyrim and he's a subject of the Empire. But so why is he being held in a foreign prison when he should be held somewhere, in the dungeon in solitude? Uh,
If he is to be held under the jurisprudence or whatever of the Empire, he must be held under Imperial imprisonment. But he's not.
he's not,
He's
like
held under Thalmor
and
rule.
there are so many Imperial controlled military forts, right? There's like so many Imperial cities that are in Skyrim. He could be in any one of those prisons, serving his sentence. Why is he being sent to this prison? And here's the thing: he's probably not the only Stormcloak sent over there.
No, no.
And also, also, like, why are they questioning him? Like the Thalmor, what did they want to know? Like, what is it that they want to know? What information can they provide for the Imperials, which might be accurate, right? Like,
Yeah.
why is it them? Why are they the ones doing the torturing? And so here's the thing. Like, for example, like if the downward just this year's, let's say they arrest someone for worshiping Talos. So logically, they should arrest a person and take him to the nearest Skyrim prison because they're located in Skyrim at the moment, right? But no, they're not taking them to the Skyrim prison. They're not taking them to the prison to the nearest prison. They're taking them to their own foreign military base.
Yep.
And here,
That's because they got the Imperials.
exactly. And you go to the Stormcloak territory, you don't see any of that.
No, you don't see a drop of that. The Thalmor have the Imperials whipped, and the Imperials don't even know it, and they keep coming back saying, "Please, please, mommy, more. Please, mommy, more." It's I'm not going to say pathetic, but it's almost pathetic.
Yeah.
And they rely on these copes like, oh,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
dossier.
Well,
Yes,
well,
the Thalmor want you to
we'll
know
get to the
more.
dossier, but so imagine like a hypothetical scenario. Like let's just okay, obviously this will never happen. We don't want this to happen, but let's just say there's a civil war, like Texas secedes from the Union, right? We don't want this to happen,
Right.
right? But here's the thing: let's just assume Texas secedes from the Union. The Union doesn't like that, right? Uh, they um, so they start to go to war with Texas. And here's the thing: Texas accuses the Union of being under China's influence. They're angry
Mm-hmm.
at the Union for being under China's control. The Union denies this and says, "Oh no, like we need to be together if we want to defeat China." Blah blah blah. But here's the thing: so in Texas, let's just say a rebel Texan is captured, and he's not taken to like some kind of local uh, tribunal, some kind of
So
military court.
let's
He's
say he's taking
he
to
is
a
for some reason
PRC police station in New York. Hmm.
no, he's taken to some local Chinese military base in Texas, which of course, obviously doesn't exist, but this is hypothetical, right?
I was
Like,
just
so what would this not prove the
because
point that
those.
Texas is right? Like, what does not prove the point that Texas is correct, that the Union is controlled by the Chinese, right? Like, it'll just prove that point.
Yeah, it absolutely feeds into it. I was just saying the PRC police station because that was a real thing in New
Oh,
York.
really?
Yeah, did you not hear about that?
I don't know about that, but
So it was People's Republic of China police station in New York because there's a lot of migrants in New York, particularly migrants from People's Republic of China, and they were stomping down on migrants from People's Republic of China who were talking ill on People's Republic of China. But they weren't just
oh,
stomping down on it. It wasn't just like bar brawls. They were kidnapping people.
for real?
Yeah, they
Oh.
were kidnapping people and keeping them
Well,
in
well,
basements.
there you go. So basically, like, so if Texas says, "Hey, Union, you guys are controlled by China," Union says, "No, we're not." Then they go to war with Texas to, kind of tell Texas we must be united against the Chinese, while simultaneously having a Chinese base in the country and putting their own
Who
citizens in
handles?
prison in that
Yep.
country.
Who handles Texan prisoners? Like,
Yeah, like what
yeah, that
that
was
would
a
just
real
prove
thing.
Texas's point. Texas would be like, oh, it's like, yeah, well, we're correct. Like, we're proving the point here. And so, like, wouldn't
Mhm.
this not prove the point for the Stormcloaks that the Imperials are actually the true puppets of the Thalmor?
I mean, if you have five brain cells, it does, but apparently brain cells
Dude,
are in
I
short
brought up this
supply.
argument like on Facebook in Facebook groups, right? And I would explain this. I would explain this, about Northwatch Keep. I would ask them, well, explain this to me, right? Why are Skyrim citizens being arrested, Imperial citizens, despite the fact that they are rebels? Despite that fact, they should not be held in a foreign prison camp at all, right? Like, why aren't they in a regular pro-imperial prison?
I mean, by all
And
means, they
and
should be.
I'll ask these questions, and people will just have dumb responses. Well, like it'll just they'll turn on these coping mechanisms. It will like the dossier. They'll keep bringing that up. So, so let me bring up the dossier real quick. So let me read like like the main thing that's going on here.
While you read that, I'm going to run to the restroom really quick. If it
Well,
resets, just
well, actually, let me pause it right here, and we'll just redo it.
all right.
Oh, okay, guys. So I'm going to read this paragraph from the dossier. Okay. Operational notes. Direct contact remains a possibility under extreme circumstances, but in general, the asset should be considered dormant. Implied, Ulfric Stormcloak. Okay. But look at
Yeah,
this.
just read it. Just read it. Just read it.
Well, it says considered dormant. So yeah,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
let's keep reading this. As
Yes.
long as the civil war proceeds in its current indecisive fashion, we should remain hands off. That's the Dalmor. The
Mm-hmm.
incident at Helgen is an example where an exception had to be made. Obviously, Ulfric's death would have dramatically increased the chance of an Imperial victory and thus harmed our overall position in Skyrim. I'll do a quick pause right here. So here's the thing, people. Like this is where the pro-Imperials, get their panties wet. Oh, Ulfric, secret agent of the
Hold up.
Dalmor, blah 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 blah.
Time
But
out. Time out. Time out.
what's
So
up?
you saying the Thalmor made Elduin attack Helgen?
Well, no. Like so the Downward themselves don't really know who did this. So like let's keep
Okay.
reading this. But
I was.
my point is that like that the pro Imperials would do what a lot of people do with Bible verses. They will read half of a verse and kind of base their opinion on whatever that half the verse says, but they will
Mhm.
not read the other half of that same verse, right? Or like they'll
Yep.
read one verse, but they will not read the whole chapter, right? And that's what the pro Imperial players, that's what they do. Like they stop at that moment and say, "Oh, look, Imperial Thalmor agent." But let's just keep reading real quick. Okay. Note the coincidental intervention of the dragon at Helgen is still under
Okay.
scrutiny. The obvious conclusion is that whoever is behind the dragons also has an interest in the continuation of the war, but we should not assume, therefore, that their goals align with our own. So the Thalmor have no clue who is actually in charge of the dragons.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
continuing. A Stormcloak victory is also to be avoided. However, so even indirect aid to the Stormcloaks must be carefully managed. So this part right here, a Stormcloak victory is also to be
To be
avoided.
avoided.
All right. Also, let's go right here. This part, increased. Okay, so Ulfric's death would have dramatically increased the chance of an Imperial victory and thus harmed our overall position in Skyrim. Okay, so basically, the Thalmor, they don't want either side to have a quick victory. Thalmor, they don't really want any side to have a swift victory. Now, here's the
Mhm.
thing. What makes Ulfric an asset in regards to the Thalmor is the fact that like he was tortured when he was a prisoner of war when they had the Great War. Before the Skyrim Civil War, there was the Great War where, Hammerfell, Skyrim, High Rock, they were all under Imperial control. And so Ulfric, he was, a prisoner of war for the Thalmor, and they thought, oh, he's a son of a Jarl, so he's basically, like good to work with right here. And so like it says he's a dormant asset, right? So they kind of made him like hate the Thalmor in a way like where he just hates the Thalmor a lot, right? And so like but at the same time like what a lot of people don't realize that like people who are assets or people who might be used by other people are not necessarily easy to control. They're kind of like a
Mhm.
wild card. Ulfric is basically a wild card for the Thalmor. So like they inspired him to, I guess, start having doubts about the Empire. and they probably instilled some doubts about the empire in his mind, where he would start a rebellion. But here's the thing: they don't want the civil war to end quickly. They don't want the Imperials to come in there, crush the rebels, and boom, it's over, right? The empire is saved and blah blah blah, right? But at the same time, they don't want a swift Stormcloak victory, and um, they want the civil war to last as long as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, is it is it uncommon for an asset or what one views as an asset to go rogue? No. One of the most famous
It's very
assets,
common, by the way.
yeah, it's incredibly common. One of the most famous assets every single American knows, but they don't know. His name is
I
what's
think
his
I
name?
know. I think I know who you're gonna say.
Osama
Oh,
something.
something. Oh,
Osama
here's okay.
been doing
I'll
something.
actually go like I'll go even darker than you, but I'll not mention his name because of YouTube algorithm. But let's just say, actually, two guys who went rogue while being feds. Stalin, his name is safe. So Stalin, he was a Fed, he went rogue, became Bolshevik. And then in Germany, a certain guy with a mustache, a certain Austrian painter, he
He
went
wasn't
rogue.
an American asset, was he?
No, no, not an American asset, but he was a government asset. He was
Oh yeah,
he was a
yeah.
Fed who went rogue. Yeah.
He had ties. He had ties.
No, he was a Fed. The police mentioned him as a Fed. The Weimar police mentioned him as a Fed working for them.
They're probably talking about that.
But anyways, but
I'm
my
not going to
point.
say the words. That fellow Strasser. That fellow Strasser.
But anyways, my point is that yes, the rogues. Sorry, not rogues. Feds can go rogue, and you mentioned this. It's
Mm-hmm.
very possible that assets go rogue, and
Yep.
that's the thing about Ulfric. He's not really a stable asset for the Dalmor. Like that's why they don't want a quick victory from Ulfric, because like they just lose Skyrim. Like he create like a strong political movement to make sure that the Dalmor do not conquer Skyrim. Like the pro-Imperials assume that Ulfric simply kicks out the Empire and boom, that's it, right? Like he does nothing. No,
Yep.
he's going to do more than just that. He's going to build up their military, build up their economy. And I'll not be surprised if Ulfric tries to make an alliance with Hammerfell.
Mm-hmm.
Like that'll
Yeah.
make sense.
I mean, two more. Not to get away from Skyrim, but two more assets which did go rogue. You might know them by the name of Mao Zedong and Ho Chi Minh. We all know how those events went,
Yeah.
and they were both Yank assets. So just even if devil's advocate, even if Ulfric was a Fillmore asset, which he wasn't, who cares?
Well, here's the thing. I believe that he's in a way like a dormant asset, but he's like again a wild card. He's not a stable asset for the Dalmor
Mm-hmm.
because a swift victory would just not be what the Dalmor wants. Because the Empire, by the way, for the Empire, in reality, a swift Dalmor victory is sorry, a swift ooh, for Freudian slip, a swift Stormcloak victory, a very quick Stormcloak victory is not what the Dalmor wants, because the Imperials,
Yes.
for it's more beneficial for them to just kind of be like, you know what, screw these Nords, whatever. Like we will now focus most of our time and energy building up our military to focus to fight the Dalmor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Dalmor, they're still not strong enough to just do another great war campaign. Like that's why they're waiting. So yes, the downward they're playing the long game, but it's very risky what they are doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes. So in a way, yes, Ulfric might be considered an asset due to the fact that he was being brainwashed into cells. But here's the thing: his brainwashing is still anti-Dalmor. Like he still hates the Dalmor. Like he hates like
Yeah.
basically the Dalmor. He hates them.
You mean to tell me that Ulfric is not only anti-Thalmor, he's double anti-Thalmor? Dude, base.
Yeah.
I like him even more.
Yeah, exactly. And but here, so yeah, so here's the thing: like a quick Stormcloak victory is to be avoided. It says so right there in the dossier that
Mm-hmm.
that a quick Stormcloak victory is to be avoided. So they want the Civil War to last as long as possible, where when both sides are weak enough for the Thalmor to attack. But here's the thing: like, who knows how long this war could last? For example, so like the
Yeah.
Dalmor might they might have to wait like another 10 years or something. Like they might have to
Yep.
wait 10 years if they want both sides to continue fighting. That's why the Dalmor they were very disappointed where when Ulfric was captured. Because the Imperials understand, we execute Ulfric, it will not be so hard to reconquer Skyrim again, but that's not really a fact because his the other jarls who are loyal to him might want to claim to be the new
Keep
leaders.
going. Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
might have
so it's
some
not
kind of.
guaranteed. So like executing
Mhm.
Ulfric might not be guaranteed a victory, but the
Yeah.
Dalmor they were kind of very disappointed. Oh crap, he got caught, and so this could speed up the war for the Imperials. So they don't want either
Yep.
side to have a quick victory. Like I'll be objective about this. As a pro Stormcloak guy, I'll be objective and admit that yes, like the Thalmor they don't want a quick victory for either sides. They just want the war to last long enough for both sides to be weakened. Then they will take them over. And like so therefore like with Ulfric being an asset, he's not a good asset. He's more of a rogue than anything else.
Absolutely. By any standard, especially, I mean, if you want to look at it low IQ, like we're some kind of monkeys, the Thalmor don't want him to win. Okay, there we go. Ulfric's our boy. If you want to look at it long term, the Thalmor don't want him to win. Ulfric's our boy. Like,
Yeah.
just by the fact that they don't want him to win quickly, and they like, guys, come on. How many other ways can we view this? Um, it's very clear they don't want Ulfric on the loose, winning the Civil War as fast as possible.
Yes. So the dossier doesn't really prove it doesn't prove
No,
anything.
doesn't prove a
Like
single
it just simply proves the plans that the Thalmor have. It just shows what they're planning and what they want to do and how they view Ulfric. And like there's a theory that like one of the high elves. Oh, by the way, like we'll eventually get to this. Like basically, people talk about how the elves are discriminated in Windhelm. Definitely not true. But basically, there's a high elf, by the way. She sells weapons in like the good part of Windhelm, right? Yeah, the Stormcloaks are so racist. They have a high elf woman selling, weapons in the good part of town, right? But anyways,
the one who works with the blacks, right?
uh, no, I think that's the one who's the sailor. But there's another high elf who like
Oh, you're talking about the merchant.
the merchant. She's selling in the
Okay,
good part of
okay,
town, and
yep.
she's selling weaponry. Now, apparently, you could do a quest for her, and suspiciously, like where she gets her weapons from, it's kind of very suspicious. It looks like the guys who are her dealers might be Dalmor agents, right? And she's selling like
Mm-hmm.
cheap weapons at a very cheap price for the Stormcloaks in Windhelm, right? And so this could be one of the weapon suppliers for the Stormcloaks. But we should consider the fact that the Dalmor, they simply just want the war to continue. They don't want the Stormcloaks to win. So here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
For the Stormcloaks, it's kind of a win-win situation because think about this. The Stormcloaks are thinking, hey, the Dalmor are 50% shooting themselves in the foot right here because the Stormcloaks could just win the war really fast. And it's over
Yep.
for the Dalmor, right? The Dalmor lose their assets. Like they lose everything. So like yeah, so I guess we debunked that whole argument.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
is there
if
anything
you
else you'd like
still
to add?
no, I mean, there's no like written Ulfric is not one of our boys, but um, you'll never get something like that in the real world, right? You'll never get that with anyone or anything.
Mm.
And there's enough
Well, it's more of a Hollywood. It's more of a
circumstantial.
Hollywood thing than like reality.
Yeah, yeah. People who watch way too many movies think that they'll find the paper that's like, Ulfric Stormcloak is actually a Thalmor agent. Ha ha ha. 2 more weeks. And
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, like basically, like it's a Hollywood thing where you have these sleeper
Mhm.
agents walking around and they will turn on us.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yep.
Now, to be
In reality,
in reality, such there are programs that do kind of brainwash people. Like,
yes.
if we go deeper,
Yes.
if we go deeper in what our own government does to people, right?
Mhm. I
But
mean,
like,
my
but
uncle
that's still
Ted
not the
was
same
one
thing,
of
though. That's
those.
still not the same thing. Like when it comes to like you know, like to like actual leadership roles, you know, like Ulfric's very competent in what's going on. You know, like like
Yes.
he's like he still has his cognitive abilities, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. And
And on top of that,
it's
he doesn't want to fight for the Dalmor. Like he does not want to. He's not
no,
doing this for
not
the
at all.
Dalmor. So the
Yep.
Dalmor, they want him to fight, but at the same time, Ulfric, if he was told, like if Ulfric was told directly, "Hey man, the Dalmor, they're trying to use you. You know, they want you to fight the Empire." Ulfric probably would have been like, "Huh, okay." Like he could do two things. He could either be like, "Oh crap, what am I doing?" Or he could be like, "I'll pretend I don't know what's going on, and I'll keep getting those weapons from the Thalmor, and
Yeah.
keep fighting."
And you know
Yeah,
what? You can use the peasant test never fails. Ask That's a lie. It often fails. But the peasant test usually doesn't fail. Ask the peasant what they're fighting for. And the peasant will normally give a pretty 75, 70% close enough take, right? Ask the Stormcloak peasant what they're fighting for, and they'll say they hate the Thalmor. Simple as that.
hmm,
The peasant
yeah,
test, it, it's not perfect, but it works good enough, especially in the given situation. Like, I know people who didn't even know about the whole Ulfric Stormcloak might be a Thalmor asset thing. So
yeah,
if people in IRL didn't know about it, is it that big of an issue? Even
yeah.
if it was, there's not enough gravity towards the theory.
Hmm. And the dossier itself says dormant, so he's not
Yes.
reliable. Like he's not someone
Yep.
they could actually trust, and he's not actually directly working with them either. Like he's not getting
Mm-hmm.
some like you don't have a secret letter with some cash in his drawer somewhere that says, "Oh, this is from the Thalmor embassy. Thank you for cooperating with us." Right? You don't find that like in his bedroom, nothing like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, they straight up say in the same dossier, if we're going to take the dossier as evidence, it straight up says, we don't want the Stormcloaks to win quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that makes it
Yeah.
pretty clear. Sorry, I'm trying to
That makes
grab
their
my phone.
asset like a danger to them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's uh, what does the dossier prove that they don't like Ulfric? Okay, cool.
Yeah. And again, it says dormant,
Like,
so again, not reliable at all.
mhm.
Yeah. But anyways,
Yeah.
so like now let's continue with the so-called racism. Okay. So
Oh dear.
when you first enter Windhelm, what do you encounter?
Do you want do you want my honest answer or the answer you probably want to hear?
Well, when you first walk into the city, like what do you see? Like when you first enter.
You're seeing a good for nothing Dunmer getting prejudiced against for something he probably did.
Okay. 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 Hey, hey guys, my friend, not a spy. He's a really bad person.
I'm a terrible person.
Although to be fair, I'm not perfect either. So
Hey, you asked. You asked, okay? I will tell you exactly.
she probably is. She probably is an Imperial spy. Yeah. So anyways,
Is it terrible to say? I don't even remember what they're bothering him for. I just remember that he was probably guilty of it.
okay. Okay. So anyways, so we walk in there, right? Like you see like three like precious dudes talking to this Dunmer woman. And so she's saying, okay, it's not our fight. Like we're just staying neutral. And these guys are saying, okay, like you live here in our city. What do you mean this is not your fight? You know, right? Like get out of here, you know, you traitors. You guys are probably working for the Imperials. And here's the thing. Like, and here's the thing, like, so that encounter right there is the only actual, well, and the living quarters, the gray
Yeah,
quarters,
that
right?
being
So those two,
completely
so those two arguments
segregated.
is that first encounter, but with three random dudes who don't represent the entire city at all, right? Like imagine you walk into Chicago and there's three actual really mean racist dudes harassing some African American, right? Are you going to tell me that the entire city of Chicago is that way? You know?
You to answer that question.
No, no,
I'm not
but
gonna answer that
no,
question.
but seriously, like where in Chicago would you ever find
Here,
three racist dudes, right? So like,
here's a far better analogy. If you walked into LA,
mhm,
because LA does not deal with that particular ethnic group as much. If you walked into LA
mhm.
and you saw people doing that, do you think that's a whole representation of LA? Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, we're like basically like any city in the United States, right? Like you walk
Mhm.
into that city and boom, like you see three dudes being prejudiced. Obviously,
No, you're not.
that does not
You're
represent the
not
whole
gonna.
city.
You're gonna
So,
see that in Fedor, Texas. Yeah, but not.
well,
I drove.
not even Texas, like not even Texas, like nowhere, like not even Alabama, right? Maybe somewhere, in the rural parts, but not like
I
an
mean,
actual like big city, you know what I mean?
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in the
But
big city.
like you go to Mobile, like Mobile or Mobile, whatever, Mobile.
Mobile.
Yeah, you go to
Mobile.
Mobile, Alabama. Nah, like it's not going to happen. Like
No.
those three dudes would definitely be not representing the whole city of Mobile, Alabama. And
No.
so the same thing applies to
Generally
Windhelm.
speaking,
Yeah, yeah. So Windhelm, like this applies to Windhelm. Three dudes being a-holes, okay. And so at the same time, it's not like they're being illogical, by the way, because you have
no.
the Dummer who are living in the city, by the way. The Dummer, they're also elves, they're dark elves. They also live for many centuries. They're very old. And so like for many centuries, they have not contributed as citizens of the city, which makes no sense. On top of that, the pro-Imperials always assumed that Ulfric just put the Dunmer in the Grey Quarters, right? Which is not true. Ulfric was not alive when the Dunmer were refugees from Morrowind. Like there was the big volcanic eruption, and like the island of Solstheim, which used to be Skyrim territory, the island of Solstheim was granted as like a part of Morrowind.
Rightful territory, mind you.
Exactly, and then yeah. So, anyways, like
I'm still mad at Poland.
your joke just can't.
I'm sorry. I'm still mad at Poland. Carry on.
Okay. Anyways, so Solstheim is given to the Dunmer, and then some Dunmer flee to Windhelm. By the way, if Windhelm is so racist, why do they even accept Dunmer refugees?
Yeah,
So anyway,
very similar to like New Orleans.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, Louisiana is so racist." If Louisiana is so racist, why are there so many people of African American origin there?
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
2 plus 2 does not equal
Like,
5, my
yeah,
friend.
go to New Orleans, my friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, like so you have the Dunmer being accepted as refugees in Windhelm. The racist evil Windhelm accepts the Dunmer as refugees, right? Okay. And they live in the Grey Quarters. An entire part of the city was given to these refugees. For the centuries that they lived there in Windhelm, you'd think they would have assimilated into the community.
Mm-hmm. For the kindness they were shown.
And here's the
But
thing,
I
those,
will say,
yeah,
at the same time, I could respect them not assimilating at the same time, kind of respecting the culture which gave
yeah.
them um
Well, yeah, I understand. Like, basically, like, I'm not saying they should just reject their dumber culture, but what I'm saying is that, like, you're part of it. This is your city now. This is your home,
yeah,
right? And plus, you also have children that are born here, right? They are locals, right? And so, obviously, you by this point, you should start making friends with some of your neighbors who are
most
Nords. And
yeah.
so, here's the thing: there's no way that, like, when Civil War breaks out and your capital, your city is the rebel capital, there's no way that you don't sympathize with your fellow Nord, not your fellow Nords, but your neighbors who are Nords, right?
Yeah.
And, like, there's no
I
way.
think they're the Dunmer are not Nords, but I feel like the statement your fellow Nords, your
Well,
fellow
here's the thing.
denizens of
They,
Windhelm.
they are citizens of Skyrim, by the way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we as pro Stormcloaks, we're not saying you have to be a Nord to be a citizen of Skyrim, right?
No, not at all.
No, but if you play the game, like, if you just play the game, that's how it is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, you don't have to be a Nord to be a citizen of Skyrim, because I'll get like, because later on, General what's his name? General
It's
not
not
that
Tully, is it?
no 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 not Dagmar
Galmar Stonefist?
Galmar Stonefist, General Galmar Stonefist. By the way, former Imperial officer. Um, Galmar Stonefist, he straight up tells you, like, let's say you play as a different race, so you're not playing as Nord, you're playing as something else.
Yeah.
He would ask you, okay, so why would if you're an Imperial, say, why would an Imperial fight for Skyrim? He would ask, if you're Khajiit, he'll say, why would a Khajiit fight for Skyrim, right? And so one of the questions is, so you only accept Nords? And Galmar says, no, that's not true. You know, I'm just curious, why would you just want to fight for Skyrim, right? And you say that Skyrim is home to not just Nords, and Galmar agrees with you, goes, that's true, right? And then you also explain to him, I really hate the Empire, that Skyrim is my home. So Galmar acknowledges all of this. He
Galmar
doesn't.
said, I don't care what race you
Yes,
are as long as you're
but
racist.
but the I, I
It's an
guess I
old
guess I guess
man.
I guess that's an interesting analogy. No, but seriously, Galmar, he's accepting you. Like, he's saying, like, no,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not just you particularly. He's saying, he tells you, we don't just accept Nords into our army. He says we accept
Mhm.
everybody who's a son and daughter of Skyrim. And so, like,
Yeah,
these so
because
the
it's not just it's
these dumber, they have, like, this opportunity to prove that they're part of the community by voicing their support for Ulfric.
but they
Okay,
don't want to take it. They don't want to go through the trouble,
but
through
by
the
the way,
risk.
there are a few Dunmer NPCs in Windhelm that are not complaining about Ulfric. Like, what's interesting is that,
I didn't notice
like
that.
there are a few Dunmer NPCs who actually have jobs with Nords. Hollyfrost Farm is right across the river. Like, here's like
Mhm.
Windhelm, then right across the river is Hollyfrost Farm, and there's a Dunmer working there. And, like, when you talk to him, he says, "Hey, like, I don't know what the other Dunmer are complaining about. I'm a Dunmer, and like you just have to be like a good citizen. You have to be part of the community, right? And
It's a very civic culture, I guess.
like, and then there's another Dunmer that I met in the Great Quarters, and he also said, like, listen, like I don't know why other Dunmer are acting like these crybabies, like I got a job, like I'm a good part of the community. We just have to prove that we're also part of this community instead of constantly
I don't know
whining,
why I keep feeling like the blacksmith apprentice is an elf of some kind. Is that, do you recall that?
no,
No?
no,
Okay. I must
yeah.
be thinking
But
because
here,
I swear.
here's another thing. Like when
Oh no, I think the blacksmith apprentice is a woman, and there's like a dialogue
where exactly?
in Windhelm.
In Windhelm,
Yeah,
Blacksmith
I think
Apprentice. Yes, you're
the
right. You're right, actually. Yes, there's a
yeah,
Blacksmith
there's like
Apprentice. Yes.
a dialogue line to be like, "Oh, I don't see many women blacks." That's what I'm blacksmiths. That's what I'm thinking of.
Hmm. Okay. But anyways, by the way, in that marketplace, there's the actual like a apothecary shop, and it's owned by a high elf, an elf. Think about this, right? And then like you have, by the way, you have another high elf living in the stables. He's in charge of the stables. Think about this. This is a really responsible position. You're in
Hmm.
charge of the city's stables. So you're very so that
That's
means
not a low.
that means the city
That's not a
trusts
low
you.
position.
The,
Yeah,
the, the
that
city
for
trusts you. And here's the thing: the husband and wife, they're both high elves, and they're working in the stables. And like I'm thinking, wait a minute. So how's Windhelm a racist city when you have like diversity in that city? And here's the
like
thing: you
for
have
people who don't know the
other
importance.
you have non-Nords like working in the good part of town as well.
Yep. For people who don't understand the importance of working in the stables, you hear like working in the stables and like so low. Oh, terrible to work in the stables. By a modern view, yes. But working in the stables in pre-modern era was higher. Mechanics are very respected in modern American society, right?
Hmm.
Working in the stables was like two steps higher than being a mechanic in modern day. It was left to squires and like lower court members and that's for a very good reason. It was a respected position.
Yeah, but the evil Stormcloaks, they're so racist. They put an elf in charge of the stables in
Terrible,
Windhelm.
terrible,
And now let's
awful.
get out of
They're
Windhelm.
they're just looking for the unlock.
Well, let's go to Winterhold, right? Like north of Windhelm, right? And here's the thing. One of the advisors, guess what? He's a dark elf. He's a Dunmer. Imagine my shock. The advisor to
Awful.
the advisor to the Jarl of Winterhold, who's a because Winterhold they're also Stormcloaks, right? Then let's go to
Yeah.
Riften. By the way, Riften, Stormcloak territory. Riften is Stormcloak
Also,
territory, right? And
Thieves Guild territory,
well,
which is a
yes,
whole mishmash of its own.
but here's the thing. The advisor there for Layla Lawgiver, guess what? A wood elf,
I want to say
an elf.
Wood Elf.
And here's the thing. Um, in Riften, in the marketplace, guess who's allowed to do business? A dark elf is allowed to do business there.
I haven't
Um,
noticed that yet.
then you have a few Argonians walking around, Um, yes, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, but the Stormcloaks aren't they racist?
Yeah, it's funny you say that,
Yeah.
and it clicks with me that in Solitude, I don't think there's a single non-human vendor in the market.
There are the two sisters. They're high elves. They own
The clo-
they don't work in the marketplace. They have their own
the clo-
clothing store. They have
yeah,
the
it's the
clothing
clothing.
store. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not in the open air
No,
marketplace.
they're not. So you can't see them.
Hmm.
Also, you know what's interesting? Like for example, like the advisors in the castle, the Blue Palace, like where the apparently High Queen Elsif lives. You don't really see any elves there.
No, you don't.
Not amongst our
No.
advisors, not amongst, you don't see that there, right? And
No.
and
I
then
mean,
you go
if you
to
want to count the
Markarth.
school of bards,
Yeah,
no one cares about the school of bards.
yeah. But you go to Markarth, and guess what? You don't see any elf advisors at all. You don't see any elves
No.
in high positions. Well, you do see the Thalmor in high positions in Markarth.
Yes, you
Yes.
absolutely do. And
Yeah.
especially their ties with Nepos the Nose.
No,
Um,
by the way, what's
no
interesting,
comment.
like in most, actually, I think in two, sorry, not most, but two of the biggest cities in the western side of Skyrim, Solitude and Markarth, you have Thalmor Justiciars walking around.
Do you do? Kind of sus, man. Kind of
Yeah.
sus.
Yeah, but what's interesting, by the way, what's interesting is that prior to the Civil War and during the Civil War, the law of Skyrim also applies to all the cities. Guess what? Khajiits are not allowed to enter the cities of Skyrim. And here's the thing, this law existed before the Civil War. So doesn't that make the Imperials racist?
One could argue that yes, because that law existing prior to Ulfric being in not in power, but being ascendant. That law being existent prior to Ulfric ascendant. One could absolutely argue that. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
Jarl
so
Balgruuf the
so
Cut, well known for having a Khajiit caravan outside of his city at all times.
mhm. Yeah. Well, like what's interesting, if you play for the Imperials, the only actual like pro-Imperial Jarl that does have a elf as an advisor is Balgruuf the Cook.
Ugh. Wait, who's his
Well,
advisor?
not advisor, but like his chief of security, I guess. Um,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, the dark elf.
yeah.
I know. Yes, the dark elf lady.
But what's interesting is that you go to like the other Stormcloak cities and you see, basic, diversity that pro-Imperials, and and their modern day like realistic political beliefs. Like I'm
Mhm.
thinking, but this is the diversity you seek. It's right there with the Stormcloaks. They have it.
And mind you, it's not like a modern diversity. It's like a medieval diversity too. Like people want to act like I'm probably going to get crucified for the rest of my life for saying this. So bottoms up. But people like to act as though the concept of different peoples of different cultures being around you is a modern idea. It's not. It is absolutely not. This has been around since early times. And I mean, hell, you could look at every primary source down to even the Bible if you really want to go to that, right? Primary sources to religious sources. Different ethnic enclaves have existed for millennia. So it's not like a modern diversity is our strength. It's like a medieval, yes, there's a Bulgarian village down the road, and then there's a Turkic village up the road kind of thing. And this is not, like I said, I'm probably going to get crucified for the rest of my life for saying this, but that's not a uncommon thing. Read any medieval texts, um, Crusader Source, The Ottoman Traveler by Evelia Celebi, you'll come across exactly that. These are thousand-year-old texts saying, yes, people were around each other. They wouldn't mix per se, but you'd have different cultures around each other.
Well, exactly. Like because they understood, okay, these are my people, these are your people. Okay, we could trade and talk, but we don't have to mix with each other.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
a very respectable
By the way,
community.
another argument that the pro-Imperials make about the Stormcloaks being racist, in Windhelm, like you have the Argonians living in the docks, and they're not allowed to enter Windhelm. And here's the thing, though, like logically, it makes sense. Do you know why? Because like Argonians in like if in a large pack and Dunmer in a large pack and large group, they hate each other. They want to destroy each other. And so allowing a bunch of Argonians to like move in to Windhelm, there could be like a
Mhm.
lot of gang violence, inside of
Yeah.
Windhelm. And here's the thing. Here's another thing. Argonians, like, why are they moving to Windhelm anyway? Like, what are they running from? Like, why? Like, I get Argonians living in Riften. It makes sense, because it's a little bit warmer than Windhelm, right? But why are they in Windhelm anyway? So it looks like they're just looking for trouble at this point. Because, like, for example, you're Argonian, like you definitely cannot really stand the cold that much, and like
Yeah.
and so like one of the reasons why you're living why you're working in the ports is because you're Argonians, you could breathe underwater. So I guess that's one of the reasons why they gave you those jobs in the ports. But here's the thing, why are you there in Windhelm anyway, of all cities? Like you're complaining that Ulfric, put you guys in these docks right here. Well, I mean, it makes sense. One, you guys will just start street violence with the Dark Elves. The local authorities, they don't need that. And two,
Mhm.
why are you there? Like, why, of all cities, why couldn't you just go to Riften?
I
Like,
mean,
why not Falkreath?
they're not around in Solitude, are they?
There's a few, like
There's a
there's
few.
that criminal Ouija, like yeah,
I mentioned an Argonian. You're like, well, there's a criminal. Like
yeah,
one would think if you're an Argonian, you were looking for a place to settle. Solitude being right on the river, right next to the ocean, would be a far better place.
yeah. Like why go looking for trouble in Windhelm in the first place?
Yeah, me thinks they're looking for trouble because it's prosperous and kind of benefit off of that. But that's me trying to understand
Yeah,
Argonian.
yeah, and then complaining that Ulfric is being mean to them or something.
I am not going to say anything else because I'm not a single thing.
Yeah. But the main thing that we've proven so far is that Ulfric is not a Thalmor agent. The
Yep.
the Stormcloaks, they could resist the Thalmor if they're independent, and the
Yes.
the Stormcloaks are not racist. If
Yes.
anything else, it's the Imperials who are racist. Because when you think
Yeah,
about it,
and
they're mostly fighting for the prosperity of Cyrodiil. And who lives in
mhm.
Cyrodiil? Imperials live in Cyrodiil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if if the Stormcloaks are racist, it's not in the way that the Imperials are, which is the cringe kind. The Imperials are racist and like the I'm going to benefit off of the backs of everyone else, and I'm not going to work a single honest day in my life kind.
Exactly, because like they're mostly fighting for the preservation of Cyrodiilic supremacy.
Yes, yes, stupid.
The Empire, they're the real racists, not the Stormcloaks.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep.
I know you hate that phrase.
Oh,
They're the real race.
oh. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I'm not
No,
gonna. I'm
but
not
but but
gonna.
if we go by like modern politics, like literally, right? Like the Imperials are, what are they fighting for? Like they're not fighting for the preservation of tradition and culture of an oppressed people who are under the control of the Empire, right?
No, they're fighting for the preservation of England, but
Or Rome.
Rome, but not base. I'm not gonna say the words.
Well, I guess, like in Skyrim, like the barbarians are based this time, and the Romans are
The
bad guys.
the barbarians were kind of always based, but absolutely.
Yeah,
Uh, oh, well, okay, yeah, it depends what kind of Roman Empire we're
yeah.
talking. Because the early Roman Empire, the barbarians were cringe and dumb and stupid, but like we're looking at
Well,
late
okay,
Roman
okay,
Empire.
sir, I will not allow such
My friend,
anti-Anglo rhetoric
you're
anymore.
not you're not popping up.
I'm not.
Is your camera disabled?
No, my camera's on.
The camera's
So
on. You're not popping up. It's an empty seat.
interesting because I could see myself in the
Oh,
camera.
yeah, I don't see you. Oh well.
Hmm. Well, I
Uh,
mean, I mean, like you're kind of lagging a bit, but yeah.
I'm always lagging. I've been lagging since I was born.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways,
That's
yeah. So the Empire, like if we, well, I like to ask the pro-Imperial guys, like, doesn't like not make sense, like doesn't it make sense that the Imperials are the real fascists? I mean, they're not really fascists, but yeah,
I
yeah.
I'm biting my tongue. I'm biting my tongue.
No, but I
Oh,
was saying if we go by the logic of the modern day
yes.
political spectrum, that a lot of left wingers who play as the Imperial side, right? Like,
They do it because
their
they're
whole
like, I don't want to
issue is
be
because
raised.
three dudes in Windhelm harassed a dumber woman. That's literally their
This
major issue.
is this is literally the everybody clapped meme, but in long format video game form. I saw three angry guys in Windhelm harassing a dark elf. So I stood up and said something, and then everybody on the bus clapped. This is the everybody clapped meme in long format.
But that's literally like the biggest major argument is, well, when you walk into Windhelm, haha, that's all the evidence you need. Like literally.
Boy, oh boy, yeah, totally. Let me tell you how the Yiddish treat people in the United States. Then you'll be invading Central L. No, not Central LA, North LA. Then you'll be
Mhm.
invading North LA real quick.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just think it's kind of interesting that like the biggest arguments is those three dudes in Windhelm and the Grey Quarter, and that's it.
And the dossier.
Oh,
And the dossier.
by the way, like, those three dudes are not necessarily wrong. You know why? Because one of the bartenders who owns one of the bars in the Grey Quarter, you search his personal inventory in his bedroom, and you see Imperial military armor.
You do?
Yes, like if you search his closet, you see like Imperial clothing,
Do you
like
mean to tell me
military.
that it's all a psyop? It's always
No,
ever been a
no.
psyop? I
What I'm saying is that those three so-called prejudice dudes were not necessarily wrong about mistrusting the Dunmer.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
No,
Oh, the guy that they were bothering had imperial armor.
not the woman. I think he's her brother or something like that. So yeah,
Oh,
or no,
okay.
I think he's her cousin or something. I don't know, but yeah, no, actually, I don't think she's related to him at all. But still,
But I think I know
she
what you're
knows him.
talking
She knows of
about.
him, I think.
I think I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
like, there's a little bar. So there's two taverns in Windhelm. There's the regular, tavern, like right there in the middle of the city, and then you have, like, if you go to the Great Quarter, like the Dark Elves have their own tavern for themselves, and
Yeah.
so, you search like the owner's like personal stuff, like in his bedroom. So you just go behind the bar into his bedroom, and you could just, search his stuff, and you see Imperial swords, you see Imperial, military clothing. So he might be,
Mhm.
and here's the thing, like, so, like, the woman, she does, talk about her displeasure with the citizens of Windhelm, but the guy who runs the bar, he openly, like, talks smack about Ulfric and the Stormcloaks,
Kind
then
of sussy.
you go into his room and you find an Imperial sword, you find Imperial armor. Okay, so like, those three so-called racists, they kind of have a reason to actually, like, be suspicious of Dunmer.
It's, I mean, if one is caught harassing a foreign spy and then it turns out to actually be a foreign spy, is one pointlessly harassing people? One must ask themselves this.
That is a good
It's a
that is
legitimate
good.
question.
That is a good question. Like, I will definitely, like, bring up those issues in the other Facebook discussions that I'm part of. Like, because,
Yeah,
by the way,
like
Skyrim's so popular, like, there's like, I don't know, like 20, 30 different, like, groups, and like, like, there's Skyrim for life, Skyrim for players on the PS 3, Skyrim for players on Nintendo Switch. And each
I
group
don't know
has a
what the Steam charts say. I was arguing like the day before yesterday
Mhm.
about why Age of Empires is the greatest game ever made, and it beat out like several multiple games. But I wonder what Skyrim's doing on the Steam charts lately.
well, like I don't know about that, so I don't have any statistics, but Skyrim is still super relevant, and plus there's still many
Yeah.
like YouTubers making money talking about Skyrim lore on YouTube even today, even in 2023.
Let me. It's I can look it up really quick. It's just a quick Google search. Hold up.
Yeah.
Skyrim Steam chart. Hold on. Hold on here. Come on. Stupid
So like
internet not work.
yeah, but either way, like Skyrim is still very relevant, and just like the Fallout series, and Fallout New Vegas is like pretty popular even today in 2023.
Okay, got it. Oh, okay, okay. So right now I just looked it up. Skyrim is grossing it's less than Age of Empires. You're looking at 18,000 daily users on that's just Steam. That's just Steam
On
alone.
Steam. And here's the thing,
That's just Steam.
Skyrim is obviously on multiple platforms, PS5, PS4, PS3,
Yep.
Xbox,
Now,
then like PC, of course.
yep. Now people might say, "Wow, 18,000 is not a lot." We can compare that
But
to
that's just on Steam, right? That's only on
that's
Steam.
just on Steam,
But if
and
you
that
like, you should also if you add all the other platforms. Oh,
yes, that's a
Nintendo
lot
Switch.
more.
Nintendo Switch. They have Skyrim for Nintendo Switch. And
Absolutely.
like the for Nintendo Switch, the 10-year anniversary of the Switch version also has the DLCs.
Yep. And we can look at some pretty decent controls that I'm familiar with. The Grand Theft Auto series, which is Grand Theft Auto has always been like the top grossing game in the United States for much many reasons. But the Grand Theft Auto 5 is like 90,000 or something like that.
Mhm.
And that was released, I don't even know how many years ago. I was in college. So let's just throw a dart at the board 6 years ago. Skyrim has been out since 2011 and it is grossing 18,000 on Steam. That's not nothing. That's a very solid
Yeah.
player base just on Steam alone.
Yeah, and especially when you go on to the online communities and like social
Yep,
media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, it's still
absolutely. I
super
mean,
relevant today.
yeah, how many people are still playing it on Xbox 360
Especially with
or
mods too. Like with mods,
yep,
people add like extra what do you call it? Like extra provinces. Like you could actually visit um like Bruma, the city of Bruma. Bruma is in Cyrodiil. It's like the it's like on the northern border of Skyrim and Cyrodiil
yeah.
right there. And yeah, and so they have a mod where you can actually enter Bruma. You go past the like that southern border right there, in Falkreath, and you
Yeah,
just go in.
absolutely.
You go into Bruma. Then then someone's working on Rosacrea. Rosacrea is like an island in between Atmora and Tamriel, so it's right there in the middle.
I
Yeah,
mean,
like
I've spent hours looking into mods. I'm a little ashamed to say how much I've spent in
mhm,
looking into mods that I've never used because that was kind of the
mhm,
shit to look into the modding community for Skyrim. It was on par with Minecraft and
yeah.
Gary's mod, which are like the top two largest mod communities in human history.
Well, like so like how much modding have you like how much modding do you do for your game? Like
I
is
didn't
it
really
heavily
do
modded,
much.
or is it heavily modded or
No, it's
no?
I only ever did a slight mod just to kind
Mm,
of like make up for kind of the because as much as I love Bethesda and the work they did on Skyrim, they did a wonderful job. Only an idiot would say that they did it completely perfect. There's a few missing pieces here or there that
Yeah.
are just
Oh,
very
like an
simple.
option to lose the Civil War. That was an option originally. Not
Oh,
in
it
the
was?
game, not in the game, but like they kind of like it was in the script
Oh,
that you have an
God.
option where you could actually lose the war based on how you what you do, based on your certain
Mhm.
actions, you could actually be losing, and you could be on the losing side of the war.
I never modded it that much, but I just modded it to fix some of the RPG elements and just kind of stuff like that.
Well,
You can call
yeah,
me a lazy bastard, and you'd be absolutely correct. I installed the
yeah,
automatic the level 100 mod to where you could just level 100 up to everything
oh,
because
okay, yeah,
once you play like 100 200 hours of Skyrim, it's like, okay, I get how the leveling mechanics work.
hmm,
I don't need to spend X amount of
yeah.
time, leveling up to a master level and conjuration or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
well, like the only mod it's like that I would use would be to kind of change the clothing. For example, like the clothing for the city guards and then the
mhm.
hold guards, because the hold guards, they're the guards that are outside the city. And so the hold guards would have like a different uniform, and the city guards would have a different uniform. And then
Yeah,
the Windhelm guards would have their own different uniform, and the Stormcloaks would have a different uniform because when you play vanilla Skyrim, the Windhelm soldiers and the Stormcloak soldiers, they wear the same exact uniform.
yeah, they're
But,
identical.
but yeah, but like basically in this mod, like the soldiers, the guards of Windhelm, they actually wear like these white fur coats, and yeah,
Oh,
and like yeah, I did not change the Imperial uniforms. I kind of kept them the same. Whatever, the Imperials could kind of stay in their own regular armor. And also, I use some mods where like there's where I'll be running around randomly and see like a battle, because in vanilla Skyrim, once in a while there'll be some weird bug where you'll be let's say walking through a province and you'll see like three Stormcloaks and three Imperials just run into each other. Oh, here you
oh
are.
yeah, that
Yeah.
wasn't a bug. That was a feature. They
Well, I
they
guess, yeah.
tended to have it be more common, but they
Yeah.
were limited by the fact that if I remember right, they were limited by the fact that they had to split between console and PC because console and PC have very different limitations. They were split on that,
Mm,
and they settled for the lowest common denominator, which I can't remember which it
yeah.
was because consoles and PC were very,
Well,
very
see,
close at
the
that
mods
point.
that I used were for PS4.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, yes, but originally PS3 didn't like PS3 like does not have mods. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
360 doesn't have mods, but I played
yeah,
an ungodly.
yeah.
I
But the
think I got
PS4,
like
yeah.
level 76 on
Mm.
360.
Yeah,
I spent so
my last
much time.
playthrough, I got to level 67, 68, something like that. And guess what? I still did not talk to Jarl Balgruuf about the dragons in Helgen. So here's the thing. I played the Thieves Guild. And I didn't even do Dark Brotherhood yet, and I'm already at like 67, right? And I did the Thieves Guild. I did all these other side quests, and I still have yet to walk to to Dragon's Reach. Yeah. Wait. What's the name of this
That's
castle? What?
Yeah, it's Dragon's Reaches. You're a
Yeah,
Balgruuf the
yeah,
cast.
Dragon's Reach, and I have yet to walk in there and talk to him. I have not walked in yet. Like, and I'm still,
Oh,
and I'm already like a high level dude. Because my goal, here's the thing, my goal is to like get to the max. And when I face Alduin the first time, I'll just beat him up like easy. Because
mhm.
like when you try to fight Alduin at level 16,
I will say, and
oh
I'm
dude,
kind of
it'll take
the
forever. You're gonna have to like save a lot.
I'm kind of a masochist, so I enjoy like a difficult game.
Yeah.
But mind you, I grew up playing a lot of like Age of Empires too, to where like the difficulty is part of the story, I guess if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah. But anyways, going back to like the violence in the game where you have the 3 on 3, right? Well, here's the thing. In the mods, like I actually made sure that like I'll walk into like a big battle. Like there'll be like
Yep.
40 Imperials, 40 Stormcloaks fighting each other,
I
and
do
it looks
know.
epic.
I think I know the mod you're talking about where it's like random battles occur more and they're like
Mhm.
50 on 50.
Exactly. That's
I
probably what it was. Yeah,
download
that's probably what it was. Yeah.
I think I downloaded that exact same one.
Mm-hmm.
That made it a lot more fun. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
also downloaded one that was like a stronger Fusroda.
Yeah.
So come across like a
Ooh,
dozen tins and you just ah, they turn to
interesting.
ash. But
Yeah.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
I love Skyrim. It's a great game. The
Well,
Stormcloaks are based, the Imperials are cringe.
also, did you download the mod with the borders?
No, I never downloaded that.
So
I had a
basically,
very low mod.
so basically, it will download so it'll create borders for each hold, right? And here's the thing, um, the guards who are guarding like the border gates or a tower, whatever they have, they'll be dressed in vanilla Skyrim clothing, right?
Yeah.
But still, it's pretty cool. And although like if for example, like they'll actually have like a little border for what's the name of the town with the horse thief? Where's he from? Um,
Rift, not
no, no,
Riften, Rorikstead.
Rorikstead, yeah. So you go down that, so you get out of Whiterun and you go up that road towards Rorikstead. And here's the thing, like there's an actual like border because you know how you see like there's two rocks and like there's like nothing there,
Yeah.
but here you'll see like this like a wooden wall right there, and so you know that once you go
Oh,
past the wall, like once you go underneath, like basically yeah, you're no longer in Whiterun. I think you're in the Reach technically.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
technically you're
like the border of the Reach and Whiterun's kind of hard to tell what's what because if you're in Rorikstead, like you could literally just like look at the like the one house like behind it. That's the Reach. Like the Reach
yeah.
starts behind that one house. Like
Yeah,
literally. Yeah.
that's cool. So these like medieval level borders. I
Yeah.
didn't know that mod existed. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like for example, like because Riverwood is technically part of Whiterun, and so you go a
Yes.
little bit past Riverwood, you go up the hill, and all of a sudden there's this tower, and there's a guard right there, and like he's guarding a Falkreath. He's a Falkreath guard.
Huh.
So yeah, and like what's interesting is that like you have the border of Whiterun and the Rift, and like it's again you have these mountains, right? So there's this big like stone wall, like all these
Yep.
stones put together as this big stone wall, and on the other side of the wall are there's like a Riften guard base. And guess what? Imperial soldiers were like walking through, like being able to sneak. And I'm watching this, like, so as long as you stay out of the battle, like you're not like, they'll not touch you, right? And
Yeah.
so like I'm just like watching this, and the thing with the mods, like because they're mods, and let's say you hit one of the soldiers, you'll have a bouncy razor in your head. And so I just kind of watched this, right? And I'm just observing this, and you have the Imperials trying to sneak into the Riften border, and it's just so amazing because you have like Imperials fighting because people forget, the Rift is also Stormcloak territory, and so you
Yes.
have this combination of Riften guards and Stormcloak soldiers fighting the Imperials, and like so the Imperials like they barely won, like they like have like four survivors, and then I kept following them because they kept walking, and I'm like, oh wow, these Imperials are walking into the rift, and they keep walking, and then all of a sudden they get ambushed by like 10 more Stormcloaks, and then they get killed. Yeah, but it's just amazing how like what Moss can do.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
how much of Skyrim's like NPC ecosystem, for lack of a better term, is tied to, not directly, of course, but tied to the Stalker NPC ecosystem, if you're familiar with that.
But I never played a Stalker, so I don't know.
So Stalker had an NPC ecosystem that was independent of the player, and the reason they changed it to the kind of more moderated form that they have now when they publish games is because it was not uncommon for, so the player was the same level as NPCs, and NPCs had the same quest line. And it was not uncommon for NPCs to finish a quest line before the player, closing out the primary quest line. So I do wonder how much like, and this kind of system was very pioneering in like modern NPC programming. So I wonder how much Skyrim's was influenced by the early Stalker systems.
Well, I would not know the answer to that question. So if you guys are watching,
Yeah,
please
no,
add a comment.
I,
So
I'm sure none of us will know, but it's
yeah,
far more like a
yeah,
academic
like
thought.
regarding that issue, you're a lot more nerdier than me. So yeah,
I've just read the books.
okay, sure.
I've read the books and I've done way too much studying on the Stalker series. So
Yeah,
every time I talk about an RPG, it's like, oh, this is
yeah.
just like
Well, like
Stalker.
I guess I took way too much time studying the Stormcloak situation.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it was
Oh,
really
but
enjoyable.
like just kind of like a quick thing, 'cause so we forgot to mention the geography because we like mentioned it like a tiny bit, but here's the thing. I remember like people saying why the Stormcloaks cannot defeat the Empire, right? So not even the Thalmor, but the Empire, right? And so I remind people the Nords many years ago, they had their own empire called the Nordic Empire. And
Yes.
where were the Imperials? The Imperials, they're called the Needs. The Needs, they were slaves. They were slaves who were constantly abused by the Aelid elves, right?
Mhm.
And then Saint Elisa, she prayed to Akatosh to have mercy on her, and of course he, kind of gave her power, and like she started the slave rebellion, and they started to defeat the Aelids, but the Aelids were still pretty powerful, so they contacted the Nords, and they asked them if they want to fight the elves, and the Nords obviously were like, heck yeah, and so they signed an agreement that they are part of the Empire, right? But they were never
Oh,
conquered by the
that's
Empire.
where the whole kettle of fish comes from.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. And so with
Huh.
the Nords uniting with the Needs used to be Nords many, many thousands of years before that, because they
Uh-huh.
migrated further south into Cyrodiil
We
and
was Nords and shit.
yeah. so so anyways, so anyways, so they were never forced into the Empire. The Empire never conquered Skyrim. And I tell people, like people treat the Nords as these rednecks, right? And here's the thing: the Nords, they literally had their own empire, while the Needs, who are now the Imperials today, but when they were the Needs, they were slaves who could not read, they could not write. They were constantly being, raped by their slave masters.
Based. Not
Well,
based.
no, not based. No, 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 no. No, the elves are not based. No, no, no. Especially the Aelids. But
No,
basically,
Grimoire would agree with you on that statement.
yeah, but basically, the Needs, like they were nothing. They were filth. Like I mean, they're pathetic. They're pathetic human beings who you could only feel sorry for. That's what they were. All the Nords, they built a civilization. And here's the thing, like they brought that civilization from Atmora, where they had a civilization over there, and they had a civilization in Skyrim. But because they have a different accent, they don't talk like a lot of city folk talk, right? So therefore, they're
Yeah.
probably these rednecks who like don't know anything. They're racist. I kind of noticed that a lot of people who have liberal ideologies, they have this idea that in their minds it's ingrained that if you have like a southern twang when you talk, that you probably haven't read any books, right?
Well,
And
I've gotten a very similar thing. Every now and then my family has a Midwestern accent,
mhm,
and people act like we're absolutely cultureless animals when we're actually probably more educated than them.
yeah,
You have the metropolitans as a whole. I don't know how many European listeners we have, but the cultural divide in the United States is a metropolitan and rural divide, first and
yeah,
foremost.
Yeah, so the Metropolitans think that they've read more books when a lot of them haven't,
Yeah,
and so
they think
yeah,
they're far more cultured and
yeah,
smarter ruralites when they're realistically not going to get involved in that,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
not what one.
I would like to see modern day Metropolitans speak three languages like I do.
Yeah, ruralites are
Yeah,
far more cultured, far better read. I've seen
yeah,
your average ruralites has several bookshelves.
yeah,
Your average metropolitan has one bookshelf. They're
yeah,
not as well read as I think they
yeah.
are,
Well, and
and very
so
similar with
yeah,
the Imperials and the Stormcloaks.
exactly. And so because if you notice in the game, a lot of the pro Stormcloaks, they do have an accent, but like not some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them kind of have like this like American accent, right?
Mhm.
So because in the game you kind of have like two prominent accents. They're either like American sounding or they're kind of like Norse sounding, right?
Yeah, kind of a Norse, like
Yeah.
almost Minnesotan,
Yeah,
almost.
because to be honest, I don't. There's a few British accents in the game, but like the two common ones are either like Norwegian, Scandinavians, like that,
Yeah, it's a stand.
or just American. And
Yeah,
like
the few British.
there's very few British NPCs, very
Yeah,
few.
the very few British are predominantly Breton and Imperial, if I recall correctly.
Hmm.
But most Imperials tend to be accentless.
Well, General Tullius, he speaks with an American accent or a Canadian accent because it's the Canadian
Yeah,
voice actor. Yeah,
it's almost Yankee. It's
yeah,
almost
yeah. Well, so basically, the thing is, historically speaking, though, the Nords had huge civilization before the Needs broke away from their own enslavement and started their own empire, where the Nords were asked to join. The Nords volunteered because they had a common enemy, and fellow humans will help you out. And so
it's
the Nords joining the
war
first
of
empire.
northern section.
Well,
Hmm.
like different topic. But but the Nords joining the Needs is what literally helped the empire be established. Well, like first of all, I don't know why the Elysian Empire is called the First Empire when in reality the First Empire was the Nordic Empire, but for some
Mhm.
reason that's kind of like swept under the rug, like it's forgotten. And
Boy,
plus
oh boy. Anyone
plus
who's
the
legitimate
Nord.
empire
Here's the
falls under
thing:
the ring.
when the Needs were a bunch of sturdy slaves, the Nords not only had an empire, they also were dragon lords. Like they had dragon priests. They worshipped the dragons, and of course they were enslaved by the dragons, but that's not the point. Like they had this huge civilization. They even created like they had civilization, and they still do.
They were tied
Yeah.
to higher beings.
Also, like a huge number of Stormcloak soldiers and officers used to be Imperial soldiers and Imperial officers. Galmar, he used to be an Imperial officer. Ulfric, he used to be an Imperial officer. Um, yeah, so it's not like the Stormcloaks don't know how to fight against the Empire because and plus Galmar even tells his troops when they're getting the Jagged Crown, he's saying, "Hey, I know like a lot of you guys used to serve together, in the Imperial Army with your fellow Nords, but today they're no longer your friends. Like they're your enemies now." So yeah, so the Nords, they're not just these dumb rednecks who don't know how to fight. Like and they were never conquered before. So like their only main issue is basically Falkreath. When you think about this, once they took over Falkreath, that's like the empire's cut off from sending like reinforcements.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's like the main routes, like land wise, that's the main route into Skyrim.
Yeah. It's 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 a folly. It's a folly of the empire to put so much stock in a civil
Well,
war. They should not be involved in.
like my point is that it's a folly of the pro-Imperial players for
Yeah.
assuming that the Nords cannot win because Empire is bigger, apparently more powerful. But I'm thinking, look at the geography. Like you're fighting against a lot of locals who know their own land, who could find shortcuts and could outmaneuver you and could hide in the mountains and could do surprise attacks and yeah, like so many things. And
Yep.
on top of that,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Like there's no guarantee that let's say some soldiers who are serving, let's say um as um as guards in a hold, that they might switch sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, it's highly possible, this never happens in the game, but there's a plot that's mentioned to overthrow the Jarl of what's that one territory? It's like the marshes, but um
Um. Oh, I know the one, the little one that's got a vampire.
with the vampire
Or,
problem. Yeah. So
ah,
basically, so that they're plotting to overthrow the Jarl there, right?
yep.
And replace her. I mean, then it kind of stops right there. You just find out about the plot and just kind of doesn't go anywhere with that. Um, but here's the thing. It's highly possible that like soldiers there could rebel against the local Jarl, or
Mhm.
maybe not the whole army, but certain units from that army could desert and join the Stormcloaks. Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah, so to say that the Nords have no, or the Stormcloaks have no chance of winning, it's not really like, you can't really
It's
guarantee
asinine.
that. You know, like
It's say the
yeah,
locals cannot win a localized.
especially when Stormcloak was never, especially when Skyrim was never conquered.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Well, it was conquered, but by the Nords.
Yeah. Conquered by the Nords from the snow elves, from the
Yeah,
Falmer, who are troglodyte creatures.
they got what they deserved. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's
That's a topic for another day. Did the farmer get what they
oh
deserve? I
yep.
say yes.
I mean, that pretty much just wraps it up.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for our next discussion? I potentially have plans for our next one.
Well, what do you think? A Fallout New Vegas discussion. Like,
I was gonna say a movie review actually,
okay, we could figure that out. Yeah.
because I would I'm a huge sucker for like really crappy '90s zombie movies. Have
Oh, okay.
you seen Return of the Living Dead?
Oh, well, but have you seen Army of Darkness? Because it's technically part three.
I've heard of that one and I've never seen it.
Yeah, that was like really comical.
Um, I mean, we could do a 3-part Living Dead series, but I don't think we're ready for that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure it out what the next topic would be.
Yeah,
Uh,
there would be plenty.
yeah.
Even if we don't have a topic, we can complain about like the state of Warhammer 40K, which is absolutely worth complaining about.
Yes. Oh, we could. Yes, definitely. I agree. And it's worth discussing.
I want to stab Matt Ward in the face. I'm not gonna, but boy, do I want to.
In Minecraft, of course.
In Minecraft, yes,
Yes.
You can bleep that out if you want.
Yeah.
I'm just. It's shameful what he's done to Warhammer
Yeah.
40K.
Well,
Ugh.
guys, so I guess that like you said, this wraps it up, right? So yeah,
Yeah, but it wraps it.
so anyways, I hope you guys understand that the Stormcloaks are the good guys. So join the Stormcloaks next time you play Skyrim.
Exactly. Join the
So
Stormcloaks and don't have a witty thing that rhymes with that, but knowing is the first step, kids.
yes, right, guys. So click the like button, share it, and subscribe to my channel because I need your support. And also, I'll have the links to my Patreon page, and I'll have the link to my merch store. You could buy my merchandise.
You
You
have
have a good one.
merch. I'm
Yes.
just finding out about this merch.
Yes, it'll be in the link. The link will be in the description below.
Awesome. Look at that link, people.
Right. Good night, guys.